The Polish post office in the Free City of Danzig was created in 1920 under the Treaty of Versailles, and its buildings were considered extraterritorial Polish property. The defense of the Polish post office in Danzig, Gdansk, was one of the first acts of World War II in Europe, as part of the invasion of Poland. On September 1, 1939, Polish personnel defended the building for some 15 hours. In the Polish post office complex on 1 September 1939 there were 56 people, Gdańsk, 42 local Polish employees, 10 employees from Gdynia and Bydgoszcz, and the building caretaker with his wife and 10-year-old daughter, Erwina, who lived in the complex. The Polish employees had a cache of weapons, consisting of 3 Browning light machine guns, 40 other firearms and 3 chests of hand grenades. The Polish defense plan assigned the defenders the role of keeping Germans from the main building for 6 hours, when a relief force from Armia Pomorskie was supposed to secure the area. At 4 o'clock the Germans cut the phone and electricity lines to the building. At 4:45, just as the German battleship Schleswig-Holstein started shelling the nearby Polish army military outpost at Westerplatte, the Danzig police began their assault on the building under the command of Policja Bystwili Bethk. They were soon reinforced by local SA formations and the SS units SS Wesprzyj and SS Heimwehr Danzig, supported by 3 police ADGZ heavy armored cars. Albert Forster, head of the local Nazi party, arrived in one of the vehicles to watch the event. The first German attack, from the front, was repelled, although some Germans managed to break through the entrance and briefly enter the building, at the cost of 2 killed and 7 wounded attackers, including 1 group leader. The second attack, from the work office, was also repelled. The commander of the Polish defense, Comrade Gdańsk, died during the second attack from the blast of his own grenade, which stopped the Germans who had broken through the wall. At 11 o'clock German units were reinforced by the Wehrmacht with 2 75mm artillery pieces and a 105mm howitzer, but the renewed assault, even with the artillery support, was again repulsed. Mortar support was requested from the German forces at Westerplatte, but its inaccurate fire posed a greater threat to the attackers and it soon ceased action. At 1500 hours, the Germans declared a 2-hour ceasefire and demanded that the Polish forces surrender, which they refused. In the meantime, German sappers dug under the walls of the building and prepared a 600 kg explosive device. At 1700 hours, the bomb was set off, collapsing part of the wall, and German forces under the cover of 3 artillery pieces attacked again, this time capturing most of the building except the basement. Frustrated by the Poles' refusal to surrender, Bethk requested a rail car full of gasoline. Danzig's fire department pumped it into the basement, and it was then ignited by a hand grenade. After 3 Poles were burned alive, bringing the total Polish casualties to 6 killed in action, the rest decided to capitulate. The first 2 people to leave the building, Director Dr. Jan Mijan, carrying a white flag, and Commandant Joseph Wosik, were shot by the Germans. The rest of the Poles were allowed to surrender and leave the burning building. 6 people managed to escape from the building, although 2 of them were captured the following days. 16 wounded prisoners were sent to the Gestapo hospital, where 6 subsequently died, including the 10-year-old Erwina. The other 28 were first imprisoned in the police building and, after a few days, sent to the Victoria School, where they were interrogated and tortured. Some 300 to 400 Polish citizens of Danzig were also held there. All the prisoners were put on trial in front of the martial court of the Wehrmacht's Grupa. All were sentenced to death. as illegal combatants under the German Special Military Penal Law of 1938. All were sentenced to death for partisans. Polish post in Gdansk. In accordance with Article 104 of the Wesprzyj Treaty, under international law, Polish territory was defended by Poles, so they could not be recognized as partisans. Gdansk and Bod were never held responsible for this episode or held accountable for the executions. They were denazified after the war and continued their careers as lawyers in Germany. Only in 1998 did the German court at Lübeck invalidate the 1939 Nazi sentence. The prisoners were mostly executed by firing squad led by SS Heimwehr Max Pauli, later commandant of the Neuengamme concentration camp, on 5 October and buried in a mass grave at the cemetery of Danzig's Asp. 4 defenders who managed to escape and hide survived the war. The families of the postmen were also persecuted. We invite you to subscribe to our historic channel. Click on the black Pro Patria Poland team icon and subscribe. Thank you and see you soon.